definitely Oh, alright, good to hear it. Getting frame skipping, yeah, that is classic, that's just armor being armor. Alright, recruit Ham, let me know once, yep, looks like you're fully connected now, so just go ahead and give us a quick intro to yourself and then we'll head inside to the classroom.
Well, my name's Ham, obviously. I have played Arma since 2014, but only have like 400 or 500 hours. Mostly milsim hours. I rarely ever play this game without doing a milsim or run with a milsim unit or something like that. Besides Daisy and stuff like that, obviously. I chose 506. I chose it before. I joined before, and I actually had a lot of personal issues going on in my life that I had to take care of beforehand. So here I am again, trying to get back in. I love the whole milsim aspect of Arma3. I love everything about it. I love the medic, the whole medic aspect to it. I love all of that. It's actually pushed me to join the military in real life.
Alright, excellent. Well, glad to have you guys all with us here today. So we are going to head inside to the classroom and kind of kick shit off, so follow me. Okay, so I have my little fucking alert box in the corner set up. Obviously, as I'm teaching this, I'm going to be somewhat distracted from the process of hanging out with you guys. This is mostly a stream to make sure that my new shit is all working, so any issues or whatnot, let me know. Obviously, I'm keen to get those sorted out. But I will be streaming here again at 2000. Okay, before you guys head inside, I want you to rip open your inventory and rip the hat off your head, stick it in your uniform. Your hat will also be called cover, so if you get told to take off your cover, that's what they mean. Head inside and grab a seat in the front row. If you don't know how to sit down, use your Ace Interact key, left Windows by default, to sit down. Yes, I will be streaming again at 2000 with aviation training. So if you guys want to see more aviation-y stuff, I'll be back at 2000 with that. I don't know what we're doing yet, but aviation things.
Which key again? Sorry.
So it's the left Windows key by default. While looking at the chair, you should get a little interactions icon pop up, and then when you hover over that, you'll then get an option to either carry or sit down, and you want to obviously select sit down.
Doesn't seem to be for me.
Do you have like a gaming keyboard that disables the Windows key by default or something like that?
I don't know. I don't think so.
You might have it the key binded to something else.
Oh,
no, never
found
mind.
it.
Alright, fantastic. Alright, so you guys should be able to hear me fine because I am on yelling, but obviously if you have any issues then feel free to speak up and let me know. But first we're going to roll directly into the military realism side of things here, and we're going to bore you to death with a giant fucking lecture on the history of things. Laggy frames audio is good? Interesting. Alright, I will look at that. I'm getting issues in fucking Streamlabs as well. So, the 506 IR Realism Unit was founded in late 2014, as we were talking about before, by veterans of Arma3 Realism. Many of our members have some kind of military background, and the focus of the unit is light infantry combat, utilizing real-to-life tactics, techniques, protocols, and communication. The core of the unit is based around light infantry platoon-sized task forces, with a small number of supporting assets to each task force. At its core, a realism unit is a role-playing unit. We strive to promote an immersive and professional environment for members to roleplay in, and we do this through a unique and structured military experience. Turn that off. Okay. When in-game, our members are all expected to act as if they are on a foreign battlefield or in a domestic training environment. That being said, the goal of the unit is to balance that realism with having fun. If you're not enjoying the experience, then there's no point in the unit existing. When from time to time we have to make a decision between the two, and when that comes up, we will always have to remember that this is a game and that we are fundamentally here to have fun, and we will therefore on the side of fun over realism on some decisions. So while our history as a unit is important, it's also important to talk about those we are portraying, being the real 101st Airborne Division and the 506 Infantry Regiment. So the 101st Airborne formed in November of 1918 in Mississippi. However, World War I ended just 9 days later, and the 101st decommissioned in December. In August of 1942, the 101st Airborne reactivated under the command of Major General William C. Lee, who famously told his new recruits that the 101st has no history, but it has a rendezvous with destiny. The 101st Airborne went on to fight in some of the toughest battles of World War II. They jumped into Normandy as part of Operation Overlord, jumped into Holland during Operation Market Garden, and held the line through the harsh winter during the Battle of the Bulge. Throughout World War II and Korea, the 101st served as airborne infantry. They then went on to serve during the Vietnam War, where it was redesignated to air assault infantry. The difference being that air assault infantry attack from helicopters, where airborne infantry are paratroopers. We are not paratroopers. People get that wrong all the time. The 506 Infantry Regiment itself was formed in 1942 in Georgia, where it earned the nickname Currahee after Currahee Mountain, which borders their camp. Currahee is a Cherokee word, which translates to stand alone, and that word became the unit's motto. From here, the Screaming Eagles went on to fire the first shots of Operation Desert Storm, keep the peace during the intervention in Kosovo. They were the first conventional forces involved in Operation Enduring Freedom in Afghanistan, and they cleared the road to Baghdad in Operation Iraqi Freedom. The 101st actions have gained it significant recognition and has become one of the most decorated units in the US military. Today, the 101st stands as one of the first units that can deploy infantry anywhere in the world inside of 36 hours. Members of the unit wear a spade symbol on their helmet outer and the Screaming Eagle patch on the left sleeve. The 506 has participated in every battle the 101st has, quite often being on the front lines. This makes the 506 one of the most decorated regiments in one of the most decorated divisions of the US military. As of today, the 506 consists of 2 battalions. 1st Battalion, which is organised under the 101st's 1st Brigade Combat Team, and 2nd Battalion, which is organised under the 3rd Brigade Combat Team. Now that we know who we're representing, let's talk about how our unit is structured. So, 2 key pieces of terminology you're going to need in your time in the 506. First, we have your Military Occupational Specialty, your MOS for short. It's what you're qualified to do. So for example, the MOS of an infantryman is 11 Bravo. As a member of the unit, you can hold various MOSs, but only one at a time. So if you're billeted 11 Bravo, you can't fly, even if you're qualified to do so. You can, however, transfer to a 153 Alpha MOS and start flying. Your billet is which slot in the roster you occupy. So each billet has a role, rank, and MOS attached to it. So for example, to be an infantry squad leader, you must hold the 11 Bravo MOS. You also can only be in the slot if you're ranked between corporal and staff sergeant. You can't hold 2 primary billets at the same time. However, you can hold a primary billet and any number of secondary billets. And secondary billets are the battalion staffing roles that I kind of spoke about before. Does anyone have any questions about anything I've covered so far?
Negative.
I actually do have one question. I went for 68 whiskey. Is that going to be part of AIT, or is that going to be a separate from AIT?
So that is kind of a bit of an ambiguous area. So AIT is, for you, will be 2 phases. First, you'll have OSUT, which everyone in the unit has to go through OSUT, and then after you go through OSUT, you'll attend Combat Medical School, where they will teach you how to be a medic.
10-4.
Recruit Nunez, anything from yourself?
Nope.
Alright, excellent. Actually just stand by 30 seconds. Alright, my headphone battery was dying, so I just had to swap that over. Okay, so our unit operates on a set of policies and procedures as well as basic common sense. We have a minimum age of 18, so it's basically expected that everyone is vaguely put together as an adult by the time we have to deal with them. These policies and procedures enable us to control the discipline within the community as well as keep to our various realism aspects. Also, thank you Hoff and Macmillan for the hosts. Appreciate it, guys. So, since we are a realism unit, we have a ranking structure, and we adhere to the same ranking structure used by the US Army and the US Air Force. So let me just get that over there. There we go. Okay, so first up we have our US Army and US Air Force enlisted ranks. Firstly, I suppose to explain the layout of this slide. Thanks Dover for the host. So what we've got is we have our rank insignia, and then underneath the insignia you will find the grades listed. E2, E3, etc. is referred to as a grade. In the real military, grades are pay grades, if that makes sense. So an E4 in the US Air Force is basically equivalent to an E4 in the US Army. But just to run through these briefly, and we'll talk about them a little bit one at a time as we go. At E2 we have a private. E2s are privates which have graduated all of their basic training and are basically full members of the unit. Up until you guys graduate your training, you will be sort of subject to administrative discharges if you don't complete your training within the certain timeframes and so on. Once you're an E2, you can kind of stick around and have a little bit more freedom. E3, then you have a private first class. PFCs have typically been in the unit for kind of 2 to 3 sort of months, so they're a little bit more experienced, but they're still kind of learning some of the ropes, so to speak. E4 is our first grade where we have 2 different ranks. First up, you have an E4 specialist, and then you have an E4 corporal. An E4 that is in a leadership position is a corporal. E4 in a not leadership position is a specialist. We have specialists in this unit that have been in the unit for barely 100 days, and we have specialists in this unit who have been specialists for over 1,000 days. So specialists come in a variety of experiences, but these guys are basically happy to sit on a saw in a fire team somewhere without developing any additional responsibility. Corporals are typically your brand new team leaders. They've just started down the road of being a NCO, and they are, again, learning the ropes, so to speak. E5 is sergeant. Typically you'll find sergeants as team leaders. These guys have been in the unit for a good amount of time. They understand how their shit works, and they'll be the basic NCO that you guys deal with on a regular basis once you're enlisted in the unit fully, as they will be your team leaders, and they will keep you guys up to speed. Above that at E6 we have staff sergeants. Staff sergeants are our squad leaders, and kind of the highest level you guys will routinely deal with. E7, Sergeant First Class, these guys are your platoon sergeants. Basically, second top on the tree as far as we're concerned as enlisted until we get to E8. At E8, again, we have 2 ranks. Same difference here between the 2 ranks as we had at E4. So the insignia on the right is the First Sergeant insignia. Each company has a single First Sergeant, and they are the single most, the highest enlisted personnel within the company. And they are kind of the top of the enlisted chain of command. An E8 not in the First Sergeant billet is a Master Sergeant. We do not have any current billets for Master Sergeants. In the real army you would find them as training instructors and so on, but as we don't have full-time instructor billets, we don't have full-time Master Sergeants. Our unit doesn't have any Sergeants Major, so I'm not going to spend a lot of time talking through the E9s. But you have Sergeant Major, Command Sergeant Major, and Sergeant Major of the Army. These guys work at battalion or above levels, and again the same kind of difference in terms of the Sergeant Major to Command Sergeant Major and Sergeant Major of the Army. It's all billet based. In the US Air Force, things are much simpler because we start, it's not on the slide here, but we start at E3, which is Airman First Class. Moving on to Senior Airman, Staff Sergeant, Tech Sergeant, and Master Sergeant. Tech Sergeants and Master Sergeants you'll typically find as JTACs, and Staff Sergeant and below are typically our UAV operators within the TACP. Any questions about enlisted ranking before we move on to our warrant officers and our commission?
I was just curious if you guys are actually like, if you anticipate staying at company level, or if you are actually like striving towards a battalion level.
So the 506, when it initially kind of stood up, had a battalion level, and what the experience was, basically that the unit became too top heavy. There were too many people in the unit whose sole job was to administer other people in the unit, and this kind of makes for a bit of an interesting experience. So we are aiming to stick at a company level. We may look to move towards being a reinforced company and having a 4th platoon. So that would technically be Bravo Company 1st platoon. But yeah, we're not going to move back up to a full battalion. It just makes the unit too focused on administration and not focused enough on raw combat and getting the job done. And end of the day, like I said, we're here for fun. So
Makes sense.
How often?
Hope you're doing well, Dover.
We take to rank up from an E2 to an E3.
So for an E2 to an E3, it depends on a couple of things. We'll talk about promotions in a little bit. But traditionally, you're looking at sort of 45 to 60 days, I would say. 45 is the minimum, but usually it doesn't take guys much longer than that to promote to E3.
Right.
No questions.
Okay, great. And then let me just flick over to... Okay, warrant officers. Also, yes, my Ace interaction menu is broken. It's annoying the shit out of me. So warrant officers occupy a special place in the army. In the real army, you'll find warrant officers as experts in their respective fields. Therefore, generally, you'll find them as technical advisors in the Signal Corps in this kind of situation, as well as pilots, and that is true of us here. In the 506, our only warrant officers are pilots, and all of our pilots are warrant officers, except for the Air Force and the company commander, who get a commission. So warrant officers are quite simple. You have a warrant officer 1 through to warrant officer 5. Everything warrant officer 2 and above is referred to as a chief warrant officer. So you have warrant officer 1, chief warrant officer 2, so on and so forth. These guys, basically the only way to move up through the warrant officer ranks for us is to just earn flight time, because it's all kind of experience based. I just need to refix this real quick because this is annoying the shit out of me. Okay, and then we will move on to our officers. That setting absolutely did not fix what I was looking for. God damn it. Okay, so we have our fully commissioned officers here. So you have at the base level 01s and 02s, these are lieutenants, 2nd and 1st lieutenant respectively. You guys will find this as platoon leadership and company executive officer, as well as people who are in a captain billet who are still promoting through the ranks. When it comes to the captains, the unit has 3 captain billets available. So we have the infantry company commander, the Delta company commander, who is our rotary company, and then the detachment commander in the Air Force. We don't have 04s and 05s, we don't have any majors or lieutenant colonels. Again, we're only a company size, so we only go up to captain. We're not one of those dumbass units with ridiculous ranks for no reason. Okay, so we touched briefly before on promotions, but just to cover this in more detail. The main way to promote within the unit is to expend time and effort towards the unit. There's no other way to get anywhere. There's no amount of under-the-table deal you can strike to try and get yourself somewhere without putting in time and effort in the first place. As you get integrated into the unit, you can find the promotion policy, which will outline these requirements in more detail to you. So basic requirements, though, are a cross between time in grade, often referred to as TIG, promotion points, often referred to as points, sometimes represented in chat as a PP, and then you have kind of miscellaneous extra requirements, such as being in an appropriate billet, having leadership courses, etc. So TIG is acquired by holding a rank for a certain number of days. So for example, the TIG requirement to get from E2 to E3 is 45 days. So be active in the unit for 45 days and Congratulations, you've earned your TIG requirement. Promotion points are slightly more complicated. Promotion points are awarded to you 4 per fortnight, and then additional points can be awarded by leadership elements within the unit for various actions. Typically, leadership points are awarded by filling in for non-mandatory trainings. So, you guys, we'll talk a little bit later on about filling in and whatnot. But if you guys fill in for a squad training, for example, the squad leader may opt to give you promotion points as kind of a way to say thank you for hanging out and filling out the roster of his squad. Also, yeah, you have requirements like we kind of alluded to briefly before. So, for example, if you wanted to become a staff sergeant, you need to be in a squad leader or above billet, and so on. The main thing to keep in mind is that everyone earns their rank by dedicating to the unit. When leadership positions do come up, they're usually quite sought after, and they can be hard to come across. So make sure that you keep that in mind. Alright, any questions on anything I have covered so far? Working on FTX unit, nice. More time in Eden then. Alright, excellent. So, if we start talking about then, on the back of talking about all of our ranking stuff, let's talk about our military courtesies. So during unit functions, we really want to follow our military courtesies at all times. So this includes addressing personnel by name and by rank. So all of our privates, whether PV1, PV2, PFC, can just be addressed as private. However, you can address a private first class as PFC if you so desire. And then when we start talking about sergeants, all of our sergeant variants are simply sergeant. We're not the Marine Corps, we don't need to spell it out. Just sergeant is fine. The only exception being the first sergeant and any sergeant's major you come across, although incredibly unlikely as we don't have any. First sergeant is the main exception. Make sure you address him correctly as first sergeant at all times. We then have our warrant officers. Warrant officers can be addressed as Mr. or Miss and their last name. If the warrant officer is ranked Chief Warrant Officer 2 or above, they can be addressed as Chief and their last name. Officers, for you guys, you should make sure you address them by rank and last name at a minimum. If not addressing by rank and last name, officers should be addressed as either Sir or Ma'am. Both second and first lieutenants can simply be addressed as lieutenants. You may, in different settings around the unit, hear personnel be more casual with addressing their ranking personnel, such as LT for lieutenants or top for the first sergeant. This is basically not a luxury that you're afforded through the training pipeline. We want to see that you understand how proper military addressing works, so let's keep it proper for the immediate term. That being said too, during unit functions, if an officer was to enter the room, the senior-most person in the room will call the room to attention. Not only shows respect for the officer's rank, it also allows the officer to pass any important information that they have quickly and carry on with their day. This doesn't apply if there's a higher ranking officer already in the room. If we were in the room with First Lieutenant Tell and Second Lieutenant Myers walked in, we are under no obligation to call the room to attention as he is not the first person in the room. Let's talk a little bit more about some kind of rules and regulations business.
I actually have a question real quick.
Yep, go ahead.
You said sir or ma'am. Are there actual women in the unit?
AFA.
Okay, just making sure.
No problem. As per all militaries around the world, the 506 has a standard of dress, and this is what makes us look professional and uniform in what we do. There are limitations to what you can and cannot do while in uniform, and in uniform doesn't technically mean in uniform as it would in the real military. In uniform also means in any way representing the 506, so whether that's wearing unit tags on other servers, etc. Although the unit may not have official jurisdiction over events which occur outside of our sphere, it will definitely have an impact on your time here if you're tarnishing the reputation of the 506, either the real one or the virtual one. That being said, you are allowed to customize your player's face to some degree. Obviously, no facial hair or face paint, because that is not allowed. So as does the military, our unit has a disciplinary policy, and this policy allows us to enforce our policies and procedures, and these are the policies and procedures that make the 506 what it is. So discipline can range from being spoken to in a harsh tone of voice, to being punished by having rank removed, time and grade adjusted, promotion points removed, or so on. If you manage to get passed through OSUT, the disciplinary policy will be found on the forums, or your first level NCO will be able to explain any questions you have to you. In terms of a kind of more bullet point list of some of the basics of 506 life, keep in mind that the forums and TeamSpeak are essential parts of our communication, and so you shouldn't be editing them in any way. That is taken care of by my teams within S1. Also, basic rules of the internet apply. No advertising, no political comments or discussion, no racist remarks, don't start trolling people, don't start posting porn around, that's collectively a bad idea, etc. Remember how far out of context text can be taken. So you want to try and avoid holding debates in public areas or, under-explaining your point and risk someone taking it the wrong way. Other rules to be aware of are kind of more generic gaming community rules. We have a zero tolerance policy on cheating or hacking of any kind, and our official unit servers are for private gameplay only. So you don't want to be bringing anyone who's not in the unit onto our servers, sharing around our passwords, etc. It's going to make me have to change passwords, and that just costs me time and I don't like it. Also, under no circumstances are you allowed to be a member of the 506 and another modern Arma3 Realism Unit at the same time, and collectively just be a fucking adult. Use common sense, use sound judgment, don't start getting into debates with people just for the fun of it, because it will probably end badly for one if not both of you, and that's probably a bad idea. Alright, any questions about policy or procedure so far before I sort of roll into the kind of structure of the unit in a bit more detail?
No tech sergeant.
No, sir.
Okay, I'm also not a sir because I'm not an officer, but that's fine. Recruit Arnold, did you have anything? I think something's going wrong with your mic there, I'm not hearing you. I'm going to assume no, and I'm going to carry on. But if you have a question, keep track of it, and I'll come back to you in a little bit. I hear you now.
Okay, that was weird. But no, yeah, I was saying negative. I don't have any questions.
Okay, fantastic. Alright, so talking about our unit structure then. Mac, I know you're having issues, don't bring it to my chat. This is not the forum to talk about it. So the unit as a whole is made up of an infantry company with a mortar section, as well as a rotary wing aviation and fixed wing aviation section. The combat side of the unit, so the infantry company, aviation, etc., is overseen by company HQ. The company is led by the company commanding officer, often referred to as the CO. The company commanding officer oversees the entire company and determines its overall direction. Underneath the CO is the XO, the company executive officer. The XO is in charge of the day-to-day operations of the company. And then lastly, company HQ has the first sergeant. First sergeant represents all enlisted personnel to company HQ and acts as an advisor to the CO and the XO. Battalion staff then is made up of members of the unit who volunteer their time to ensure that the unit runs smoothly day to day. These members also all fill primary billets throughout the unit. One exception, but we're not going to get started on exceptions. Each section is known as an S-shop. Each S-shop is overseen by its own HQ, comprising an officer in charge and a chief. The company HQ and all S-shop HQs are overseen by an entity referred to as Unit HQ, which is a collection of leaders from across the unit. So, working through each of our 4 S-shops, first up we have S1, which is Personnel Administration. S1 is responsible for maintaining our awards and decorations, recruiting, forum permissions and profiles, miscellaneous administrative duties across the unit. S2 is Public Affairs. Half of S2 is responsible for our intelligence about deployments, and the other half of S2 deals with joint operations requests and our interactions with other units. S3 is the host of you guys today and the home of all training and operational events within the unit. So S3 is all of our school instructors, our Zeus operators, and our battle captains. Last up is S4, the logistics shop. S4 is responsible for basically all of the technical stuff that makes Arma be Arma. So that's the unit mod pack, the unit mission templates, unit TeamSpeak, Arma servers, etc. The core of the unit revolves around our Air Assault Infantry Company. Alpha Company, callsign Havoc. Each company is allowed to have up to 3 infantry platoons. A platoon is made up of about 40 individuals, 44 if you like to count. Platoons are the most basic sized element that can accomplish a mission. Each platoon is made up of 5 parts: the platoon headquarters, 3 rifle squads, and a weapon squad. And I have a slide for this. Yeah, there we go. Perfect. So, the platoon headquarters element is made up of the platoon leader, the officer in charge who leads the platoon, the platoon sergeant, who is the senior most enlisted soldier within the platoon, and the platoon medic, who, unlike the real military, our platoon medic is our senior most medic in the platoon, not the only medic in the platoon. We also have squad medics. The platoon headquarters element also has the platoon radio operator, but only the platoon leader and the platoon sergeant make up the platoon leadership team. The platoon medic and the platoon RTO are just there for support. Underneath that, we have the rifle squads, 3 rifle squads per platoon. Rifle squad is the basic building block to a infantry platoon, and a rifle squad is led by a squad leader. The squad leader is an experienced infantryman and is an expert in small unit tactics. The purpose of the rifle squad is to maneuver around the enemy and destroy them. Each rifle squad consists of 2 fire teams. A fire team is the most basic maneuver element in the army. You can't do really much with less than a fire team. So each fire team is led by a team leader and has a automatic rifleman, a grenadier, and a rifleman. 1 fire team in each platoon replaces their rifleman with a designated marksman. And with 2 of our 74th pilots now connected to the server, if we get a jet start up across the way, I will hold what I'm saying until we can hear ourselves think again. So then, the last squad in the platoon, the 4th squad in the platoon, is the weapons squad. The weapons squad is led by a weapons squad leader, basically the same as a rifle squad leader, except they also have the additional knowledge of how to employ their specific weapons systems. So the weapons squad has 2 kinds of weapons teams. Each weapons squad team has a team leader and a assistant. So you have the medium machine gun teams. They employ the M240 Bravo medium machine gun, and then you have our anti-armor teams who employ either the FGM 148 Javelin missile system or the Mark IV Moors. The weapons squad brings the most firepower to the platoon, so that they can either destroy the enemy directly or fix the enemy in position and allow the rifle squads to maneuver to a better position. After OSUT, weapons team members have small additional weapon systems qualifications they have to go through. After that, then we have our aviation section. Aviation provides all of our helicopter and A-10 support to our missions. Obviously, being an air assault unit, it's quite difficult to air assault without some air to assault from. So first up, we have Delta Company of the 5th Battalion of the 101st Aviation Regiment. Delta Company is our helicopter element. Our helicopter pilots are all cross-qualified to fly the AH-6 Mike Littlebird, the AH-64 Echo Apache Guardian, the CH-47 Chinook, and the UH-60 Mike Blackhawk. Upon completion of OSUT, student rotary pilots report into an additional 5 days of rotary flight school. Then we have the 74th Fighter Squadron Detachment of the 23rd Fighter Wing. The 74th Fighter Squadron is home to our A-10 Thunderbolt II pilots. Obviously, these guys are not even Army, they are Air Force pilots. We attach them directly in our unit for the heavy amount of support that they provide to our operations. After completion of OSUT, student fixed-wing pilots report into 6 days of combined officer training school and undergraduate pilot training. Much like our aviation assets, our unit also employs a number of infantry supporting assets. These elements are designed to be mission specific, and we employ them in different ways for different operations, so that they can most effectively support the platoon they're attached to. So first up we have the mortar section. The mortars offer indirect fire capabilities to our platoons using the M224 60mm lightweight mortar system. They allow our units to breach heavily defended and entrenched enemy positions with obviously much greater ease, because everything is exploded before we get there. After OSUT, our 11 Charlies also have a small additional weapon system qualification to get used to the firing procedures of the mortar system. And then we have the 19th Air Support Operations Squadron, which is our attached United States Air Force Tactical Air Control Party. So our JTACs make the appropriate calls for fire and communicate the Task Force Commander's intent between our aviation supporting assets. The TACP also employs UAV operators to maintain accurate and consistent reconnaissance directly attached at a Task Force Command level. Does anyone have any questions about anything that I have covered thus far?
Negative.
No, sir.
Still not a sir. Alright, so what we're going to do is we're going to head up to the back of the class stream. So I want everyone to use their scroll wheel and select the stand up option. And then once you have stood up, follow me up to the back of the room. If you get stuck in a chair, just press V to get out of the chair. There you go. V is the golden answer for when you get stuck in the shit. Okay, so...
Can you hear me?
I can.
Alright, just want to make sure my mic was working.
Okay, yeah, no problem. You're all good. Okay, so beside me here we have two different supply boxes. These boxes will be available to you every time you are doing an operation with the 506, as well as here on the training environment. On my left we have the arsenal box. That's where you will go first to grab all of your preset loadouts with the gear that comes with them. And then on my right is the equipment box. Once you have your loadout, you'll go to the equipment box and get a pair of vectors and a pair of radios. Sorry, just a radio. Vectors are basically fancy fucking binoculars. They have a bunch of shit. I don't have time to tell you how they work. You'll learn it through OSA. The big thing I need you guys to understand is that once you get outside of recruit training, and you start to kind of mix with other guys in the unit, quote unquote, in the wild, different people have different opinions about what a loadout should contain. And that's fine. Different sections of the unit are allowed to have different standards in that regard. The thing you need to understand is that your training loadouts are set in a very specific way to the way we train you through the intake pipeline. So if someone else gives you a loadout that's like a grenadier loadout, don't save it over the training loadout that you build today. The training loadout that you built today needs to be, basically unmodified until you manage to pass OSUT, and then you can do whatever the fuck you please within unit SOP. But don't go fucking up your training shit. Does everybody understand that?
Roger.
10-4.
Yeah.
Are you guys still getting frame issues? Frame issues should have sorted out. Let me know if that's still coming up. Alright, so what I want you guys to do is move up to this arsenal box here, get nice up close to it, and then use your ACE interact option to select interactions, and then arsenal to open up the ACE arsenal window. If you're not seeing it, you just need to be closer to the box. You do need to be quite close for it to come up. Just sound off once you guys are seeing the arsenal.
Arnold's got it.
Ham's got it.
I've got it.
Alright, fantastic. Just as a quick tip, try and avoid I. Try and refer to yourself by name. It just makes it easier for me to keep track of who is who within the people here, because I can't necessarily see who's talking. Okay, so don't start playing around with your shit. What we're going to do is we're going to start from the bottom up, and we're going to start building our training loadout. But actually first I need everyone to close the arsenal because I forgot a step. I want you to look at the arsenal and use the clear loadout option to clear your loadout, and then reopen the arsenal, and don't start grabbing binoculars like you think you know what's happening next. Once everyone has the arsenal open, we're going to work from the bottom up. If you guys need me to slow down, I need you to speak up. I'm going to assume that you can keep up though unless someone says anything. Okay, so the watch tab, we're going to get a watch. Under navigation, get a compass. Under communication, it's blank, get nothing. Under terminal, get a micro dagger. Under map, get a map. skipping binoculars, go to NVGs. Let me explain what you can have in terms of NVGs. You can have either the AMPVS 14 or the 14FS. You may not have a 15. The difference being the 14FS is a full screen variant of the night vision. The not FS is shit, in my opinion. But it depends what you want in terms of your hashtag realism. Okay, then we're going to go up to faceware. Grab any of the ballistic glasses or the SI ballistic goggles. I really don't have the patience to explain the rules about which shamags you can and cannot have. That is something your team leader can deal with you once you get through OSUT. Then go up to backpack and grab an Eagle A3 OEFCP. Excellent. Then we are going to go up to headgear. You can grab either the ACH OEFCP or the ACH OEFCP ESS. You can't grab the ones that say 506. You can't get the ones that say headset. You can get anything else other than those ones. Captain Soto.
Good evening, gentlemen.
Good evening, sir.
Captain, did you need anything from me, or are you just stopping through?
I was coming through just to let you know it's about to get loud, so apologies for be out of your hair momentarily.
That's fine. I assume so. I've already briefed these guys on the possible jet noise we're going to get.
Okay, just letting you know there's going to be an interruption there, Sergeant.
Hate to go off topic, but I love your videos, man. Your dedication is unreal.
Oh, thank you, Recruit Arnold.
You're welcome, man.
Thank you, episode. Have a good flight.
Thank you.
Okay, so it looks like you guys have all got the right helmet on, which is nothing short of a goddamn miracle. Now we're going to go to your uniform. And in your uniform, go to the miscellaneous items tab. It's the bottom tab on the right hand side. In the miscellaneous tab, you're going to get 10 of the basic bandages right at the top of the list. Then you're going to get 2 cable ties, 1 earplugs, and 1 map tools. No one's telling me to slow down yet, so I'm going to keep going. We're going to go to your backpack, and then go to the grenades tab. Starting from the bottom of the grenades tab, you want to get 2 of the M84 stun grenades. You want to get 2 of the M67 fragmentation grenades. You want to get 4 M18 yellow smoke grenades. Then you want to get 1 green smoke grenade and 1 red smoke grenade. Once you have done that, go down the bottom to where it says loadouts, and then in the name box I want you to put in there base loadout and click save. You can call it something other than base loadout if you like, but remember that I'm always going to call it base loadout. Everyone all good to continue with the next loadout?
Affirm.
Yes, takes harder.
Yes, Sergeant.
Excellent. So we're going to build your team leader loadout next. So go up to the rifle tab. Lanty, the commands aren't set up. And then we're going to get a M4A1. Don't get creative about which one, literally the one that says M4A1. If I need you to get a different one, I will state its full and complete name. Once you have your M4 selected on the right hand side, get a M150 RCO. Again, don't get fancy about which one, just the basic M150. And then go to the Rail Attachments tab, and I want you to get the NPEC 15 M952V laser. The tan one, not the black one. It's like the 5th one down from the top. Every time I say the same rail attachment, this is very much the rail attachment that I mean. Alright, once we've done that, we're going to go to our uniform tab, and I want you to go to the magazines tab on the right, and then remove any magazines that put in your uniform by default because it thought it was helping. And then go down to the vest tab and scroll all the way to the bottom past our giant list of vests to where you get to the just SPCS vests, not the 506 SPCS vests. I want you to get the SPCS Team Leader OEFCP. Excellent. In your vest, I want you to put in there 3 of the Tracer magazines and 7 of the non-Tracer magazines.
No difference between Stan or P?
Negative. You can choose whichever one your heart desires the most.
Roger.
The weight difference is slightly modeled in armor, but I've heard reports from people of there being a firing issue with the PMAG sometimes. Some people think they get jammed up. That isn't modeled in armor, so there's not a difference in reliability between them. But we're not here for a gun debate, so let's move on. Let's go to the backpack tab. On the right, again, go to the magazines tab, remove any magazines it decided to give you by default, and then go to the explosives tab. On the explosives tab, I want you to pick up one of the M112 demolition block. Then go to the miscellaneous items tab and get one of the M57 firing device.
The M57 or the 152?
The 57. The 152 has a range of about 3.5 nanometers, so is not particularly helpful to explosive purposes. I don't really know why it exists, to be honest with you. Once you have that, go to the grenades tab. I want you to remove a yellow smoke grenade so that you have only 3 of those, and then pick up an orange smoke grenade. That should give you 10 total. Once you've done all of that, you can save that loadout as Fire Team Leader, and then I want you to load your base loadout back out again. Alright, 1 to go. Perfect. Alright, now we're going to build your automatic rifleman loadout, sometimes called the SAW loadout. So go to the rifle tab and get a M249 pip. Any of them. You can have any M249 pip you like. The advantages to the long variant are modeled in terms of accuracy, but so is the weight. The stock options make essentially no difference. Once you have the desired M249 of your choosing, I want you to go ahead and put a M145 MGO on it. Come on, buddy. I'm going to say that again. That's the M145 MGO. There we go. That looks more like it. Alright, then we're going to go to the handgun tab and pick up yourself a M9 Beretta. I think you'd be better to throw it at them, but anyway. Then go to the uniform tab, remove any magazines it gave you by default for the pistol, and remove any of the belts it gave you by default for the SAW. Then go to your vest, scroll all the way down to the bottom to the SPCSs, and get a SPCS SAW OEFCP. Not the machine gunner, that is for the 240 Bravo, you want the SAW one. Because machine gunners and automatic riflemen are different things. Excellent. In your vest, I want you to put 3 of the Beretta M9 magazines. And then 2 of the 100 round M249 soft packs. I recommend the mixed soft pack, because that way you can actually have traces to see what you're shooting at, but that is up to you. And then go to your backpack and remove any magazines it gave you by default, and put in there another 3 of the 100 round soft packs. Again, I would recommend the traces, but fundamentally that choice is up to you.
You said 3 more of them?
Affirm, so you should have 5 in total, 2 in the vest and 3 in the backpack.
Inform.
And then once you have all that, you can go ahead and save this loadout as automatic rifleman. Diver, thanks for being my official first subscription. Thank you, mate. I appreciate it. So you can save this as your automatic rifleman loadout and then reload your base loadout once you've got that saved. That was fucking synchronized as shit. Good work. Okay, so now we're going to build your Grenadier loadout. So get yourself a M4A1 pip M320, not a 203, specifically a 320. Although there are limited differences between them, we train everyone on the 320 because it has a better sighting aperture. Alright, on that you're going to put a M150 RCO. and you're going to attach the same rail combination, same rail attachment as before. Perfect. Now we're going to go down to your uniform. Remove any magazines or grenades that it put in there by default. And then we're going to go to the vest, grab a SPCS Grenadier OFCP. It is called the... yeah, it is called. Excellent. In your vest, I want you to put in 3 of the tracer magazines and 7 of the non-tracer magazines. And you guys are about to have to count, so brace yourself for the vaguest touchings of some maths. I want you to put in as many M441 HE grenades as you can. I think it's about 9, but keep track of what that number is.
It's 9, Tech Sergeant.
Excellent. Then I want you to go to the backpack, and I want you to put in the balance of 12. So if you fitted 9 in your vest, put 3 in your backpack. That's about it. That's about the most thinking you guys have to do today.
Easy day.
I gotta try and keep it easy. Once you've done all that, you can go ahead and save that loadout as your Grenadier loadout, and then reload your base. Excellent. Now we're going to build your Rifleman loadout. So first, get yourself a M4A1, same optics, same rail attachment. So the optic is the M150 RCO. There we go, nice. And then we want to go to the launcher tab, get yourself a M136 HP. The HP stands for high penetration. This is absolutely still a anti-tank weapon. The HP stands for high penetration, not fucking retarded mode. Alright, so now we're going to go to your uniform, take out any magazines it gave you by default, and if it gave you any M136 rockets, you can take those out as well, because you just don't need them. The tube is preloaded and not reloadable. Then go to your vest, grab a SPCS Rifleman. In your Rifleman vest, you're going to put in 3 tracer mags, 7 non-tracer mags, just for a weird fucking twist of fate. Then you're going to save this loadout as your Rifleman loadout. Build myself a loadout because all my loadouts are gone, which is just super amazing. We're going to do that, we're going to go to that, we're going to put a...
That, the M136 comes preloaded and only has 1 use?
Correct. So I want you guys to load out your Rifleman loadouts again. Excellent. Once you've got all that done, just step away from the box because we don't need it anymore. Alright, so come over here. Excellent. So the first thing I want you to do is I want you to open up your inventory. I want you to take the night vision off your head and stick it in a backpack because, do you believe it, it's daytime. And then I want you to remove the magazine from your weapon and also stick it in your vest so that you don't accidentally shoot me because that's also a bad choice. Alright, stellar. Now we're going to go ahead quickly and we're going to flick through some controls real quick. So if you're very experienced with Arma and you know how this shit works, then you can leave your controls as is, but just keep in mind that these are controls I'm going to be talking about in a little bit, so I'm going to want you to know how those work. So everyone hit escape and go to configure and then controls. Make sure you're on the keyboard tab and change your drop down to weapons first. Then scroll about halfway down the list until you find the throw option and unbind it. Don't use regular throw, we use advanced throw, which we will rebind in a second. Okay, so once that is unbound, we're then going to change to infantry movement. There are 2 keybinds here we need to set up. We need the combat pace toggle and the walk run toggle. I think by default these keybinds have a conflict, so the way I have them set up, combat pace is a single C and walk run toggle is a double tap C. You You can set them to whatever you like, so long as those keybinds don't actually conflict with anything. I'm going to give you guys a second to set that up. Once you're done, change the drop down to custom controls, and then sound off when you're on the custom controls screen.
You said walk run toggle is double C?
Correct.
Ham's on custom.
I'm on custom. Arnold's on custom.
Excellent.
Where do I find custom?
It's in the drop down box under show, so it's right down towards the bottom. It says custom controls.
Nunes got it.
Fantastic. So we need to bind use action 1. Use action 1 in this sense is your climb over this shit key. I personally use left control V. You're going to be using it a lot to climb over obstacles in the field. So make sure you set use action 1 to be a climb over shit button.
I'm assuming you guys have enhanced movement in your pack.
AFA. Minnie, thanks for the fucking 100 bits. Alright, once everyone has their custom controls set up, let's click on configure add-ons in the bottom right, and then in the drop down box we're going to go to ace movement. Fucking shit is... all my shit is fucked up, god damn it. We're going to unbind both of these options. We don't use ace climb, we don't use quick vehicle mount, because basically neither of them are very good in my opinion. You can leave them bound and fiddle around with them if you like, but I'd recommend unbinding them. And then last up, change your drop down box to ace weapons, and then scroll down to the fourth one from the bottom, and your prepared change throwable, you want to change that to just be G, so that you can quickly hurl grenades out if you need to. Once you have all of those settings changed, you can OK continue to return yourself back to the classroom. And just take another couple of steps forward so that I know that you're back in the classroom. Oh, look at that. It's a fucking miracle. Alright, cool. Let's head outside and let's fucking kick into the practical portion of this shit. Okay, so first things first, we're going to make sure that everyone knows that they can bind keys properly. So I want you to go and climb over that HESCO. Diver, thanks for gifting that sub to Minnie. Oh, look at that, you're all fucking wizards. Alright, so now we're going to talk about movement a little bit. Recruit Nunez, just so you know, double tap left control will lower your weapon so that you can stand around without pointing your weapon at my face. Hey, look at that, I'm not going to die today. Perfect. Alright, cool. So, here's what we're going to talk about. We're going to talk about our movement speeds first up. So you guys just stay there, I'm going to just dance around in front of you. So, by default, as you jog around, armor leaves your weapon down in whichever state you had it. If I double tap left control to bring my weapon back up, when I move around it still lowers my weapon. If I go into combat pace, which is the single tap C I mentioned before, you'll see it keeps my weapon raised. This is obviously super advantageous for quickly engaging targets that present themselves, as you don't have to stop moving in order to engage. Thus, it's preferential within a CQC environment. The other thing that you might use combat pace for is if you guys are moving in formation as part of a platoon or a task force, and you need to slow down in order to, develop some spacing, etc. Then you'll find that combat pace is a great way to keep moving, but also move at a slower rate in order to gain some spacing. Walking is the same kind of situation. If you need to really slow it down, then obviously walking is super slow and super tedious. Also, if you walk with your weapon up, then you are just super prepared for literally everything ever. So I want you guys just to head down this way with me now, and then I want you to walk over to the wall and then jog back, and then on your way back over here I want you to go to combat pace when you get to halfway. So go ahead. You guys can all go at once, so it's not a fashion show.
I forgot the control.
So double tap left control to lower your weapon, single tap C to go to combat pace, and double tap C to change to walking. Alright, good stuff, Arnold. I'll be on the flight line still, I think. It sounds like he's still spooling. Oh no, he's gone. Oh, there he is. There we go, boys and girls. Thunder 6-1, Thunder 6-2. On a pattern, it looks like they're running a pretty standard pattern, I would say, actually. They're not going to cut that short like they normally would. Alright, now we just hope that we're all fucking safe down here, more or less. Okay, so Recruit Ham, did you manage to get your keybinds squared away while we were distracted by Pretty Birds?
Yes, sir, I did.
Fantastic. Alright, cool. The next thing that we are going to talk about is our body positioning. Now, you guys have played a bit of Arma will know this already, but holding down left control and then using your ASD keys obviously let you adjust your body stance in all kinds of really funky ways. Now, obviously, this is very helpful for keeping yourself concealed while also being able to engage with the enemy. Look at that, you all know what's going on. Beautiful. Alright, so the next thing we're going to talk about is our weapon optic. That's enough dancing around. You can all just stand back up. So I want you to bring your weapon system out and right click to look down your weapon optic. Now you'll notice that if you hold down, so by default that puts you through your magnified optic. Magnified optic is 4 by magnification, obviously good for seeing things at a distance, terrible for seeing things up close, because it doesn't really matter which testicle you shoot him in, either way he will kind of feel it. Holding down left control and pressing your right click will switch you between your magnified optic and looking over the top of your optic instead. Preferential when the 4 times magnification is simply redundant, such as the situation. Is that working for everybody? That makes sense?
Affirm.
Alright, excellent. So the last thing then we need to really look at here is pressing our Foxtrot key, which will change through our fire rates. Do that on your little weapon information box. You can also press left control and Foxtrot to put your weapon system on safe. So the current condition you guys are in with your weapon system on safe, magazine removed, called condition 4. If you ever get told to condition 4 your weapon, make it so it cannot shoot the things. Take the magazine out, put it on safe, good to go. Alright, any questions about any of that so far?
Negative.
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 Alright, I think that was a negative from Root Ham as well, so we'll carry on. The next thing we want to talk about is the rail optic the rail attachment on your weapon, on optic, whatever. Now this has a couple of different features, both of which are going to be hard to talk about because we have guys in the sky and I'm not going to randomly change the time on them to make it nighttime so that we can see this in action. So I'm just going to have to explain it to you and you're going to have to trust me because I'm trustworthy. So pressing left control and L will give you guys a pop-up box in the top right hand corner that will say either switch to light, switch to laser. You guys see that notification box up the top?
Affirm.
Alright, excellent. So the way that the light works is it is a flashlight. Flashlight creates light so you can see. Now you might wonder why we do that when we have night vision. Well, that means you don't know how night vision works. Night vision doesn't work if there's no light in the first place. And if you're in the middle of fuck this shitistan and you need to clear a fucking cave, then there's no moon helping you out down there, you know what I'm saying? So flashlight, very helpful. Now, we also have our laser. Our laser is a IR laser, so you can only see it with your night vision on. We use our IR laser for a number of different things. We use it for marking friendly positions and marking enemy positions. Obviously, this means we have to be quite careful about how we mark them. If we are marking an enemy position, the correct way to do so is to flash your laser a couple of times in quick succession and then turn it off. Because if the enemy has night vision, you also just marked yourself while marking them. You want to avoid them getting too easy a fix on you. The other situation we may use it for is marking friendlies. Traditionally, we would use that in a situation like we're standing right now, which is some kind of enclosed courtyard or urban environment. If, for example, we're pushing 2 friendly squads at the same time into a enemy military compound, those 2 squads may be told to turn their lasers on and leave them on. This means that if a friendly is rounding a corner in front of you, you'll see their laser before you see them. Hopefully means you don't shoot them in the face when they come around the corner. Killing friendlies is bad. Bad, bad, bad. Alright, and last up, we can use our rifle-mounted lasers to call in airstrikes as JTACs. This doubly especially means don't use your laser wrong, or that mysterious GBU-12 goes missing mid-air. Last up, you're going to use the 0 key on your numero to sling your weapon system on your back. And then we are going to go through and... Alright, when the fucking show-offs are finished. And then we're just going to go through and wrap this shit up. So first thing is, do you guys have any questions for me about anything I have or have not covered today that you want to know about before you get into anything else here in the unit?
OSUT. I gotta, like, what's the pipeline for that, like?
Sure. So OSUT is a, there's 4 days to OSUT. Each day is about 2-3 hours long. You have to do all 4 days in order, but you don't have to do all 4 days with the same class. We run 2 different OSUT schedules. OSUT Class Alpha runs on Saturdays and Sundays at 1300, instructed by First Sergeant Brewer and his assistant instructors. OSUT Class Bravo runs on Tuesdays and Thursdays at 1900, instructed by Staff Sergeant Smith and his assistant instructors. Staff Sergeant Smith, if you don't know him, is a squad leader in Havoc 3. So you can switch between classes if you want to. Currently, the classes are at the top of their cycle, so you guys can't jump into a new class tomorrow because there's not a new class tomorrow like there normally is. So you basically have to hang out until the next OSUT cycle kicks off as of... it should be next weekend if I'm getting my dates correct. For the next Class Alpha... Yes, so next weekend... the next Class Alpha cycle will start. Once we get done with everything here today, you guys will get additional permissions on the forum where you can sign up for those classes, see the scheduling of them and so on.
So if I was a motivated individual, I could get OSUT done Tuesday. I could do it Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday, Sunday, and be done in 1 week.
You could, but the other way around. You'd have to do Saturday, Sunday, Tuesday, Thursday, if I remember correctly, from the way the classes tier out, something like that. But yes, it is possible to power through it real quick. Most people will stay with the same class the whole time, but you can change if you need to. The only recommendation I would have is that if you are changing classes, let both your incoming and your outgoing instructor know, so that they don't think you've just fucking upped and died on them. Recruit Ham, go ahead.
With finishing this, are we able to actually join the server, or is that still a no-no?
Yeah, so that's kind of part of my endgame wrap-up, so I'll cover that real quick now. So what you guys can and can't do once we get through everything here today, basically the only thing you can't do is go to the task force operations on Saturday and Sundays at 2000. You can go to squad trainings, you can go to platoon trainings, you can go to fun ops because you'll get access to all of the unofficial operations on the forum as well. So you can go to as much stuff as you like so long as it's not 2000 on a Saturday or Sunday. In terms of filling in for those extra trainings, I recommend them. They'll give you a great head start on your OSUT class, because you'll obviously pick up some extra knowledge from the guys on the ground, as well as it'll just, make some friends for you in the unit. The other thing it will do is it will help you obviously jump around the unit a little bit. As PV1s, obviously people will understand that you are looking to try different stuff out. So, go do a training with the weapons squad, go do a training with the rifle squad, go do a training with mortar guys, like whatever you feel like doing. This is your try before you buy. So you can kind of jump around a little bit and see what's going on. Those squad trainings will be announced in TeamSpeak, as well as you can just kind of click through the squad channels and you can see what their training times are. Every squad channel has their training time listed. So that will give you a good idea of what's available. Tonight specifically at 2000, so in about half an hour, we have Havoc 3-3 and Havoc 3-2 doing their squad trainings. I know that 3-3 is desperate for fill-ins tonight. They're missing at least 3 of their guys. Havoc 1-4 trains at 2100, so that's a weapon squad for Havoc 1. So if you're interested in the big toys, then Havoc 1-4 is kicking off at 2100. I don't know if they'll need fill-ins, but Sergeant Margiota, who's their squad leader, is also a OSUT assistant instructor, so sure he'd welcome some new guys to come and hang out.
You said that was Havoc 3-3 that was desperate for
Hey, fun.
sit-ins?
Yeah, I had one of the guys come up to me before and see if I was available, but I'm not. So, yeah, I would see what they've got going on about 2000. You'll see the squad leader puts out a chat in the global tab, sort of calling for fill-ins at the time. So you know, go and report down and see what they've got going on.
10-4.
Recruit Nunes, did you have any questions for me at this point in time?
Negative.
All right, so go ahead.
Actually, sorry, one more thing. Should we notify them that we're sitting in beforehand, or should we
you can if you want to. I'm not sure where Sergeant Dale is at in 3-3 right now, but if you see him around, obviously you can send him a message and let him know that you're interested in filling in, and I'm sure he will have somewhere for you to go as part of that training. But I'm just not sure where he is on TeamSpeak right now. I can't see him in his squad channel. So if you see him, absolutely go ahead, but it's not required. You can just go in when they call for it in chat.
10-4.
Okay, so at this point, I need you guys to identify to me your intake MOS. Your intake MOS is basically purely statistical, and it's so that we can understand where you want to go in the unit. So you don't lock these in until you graduate OSUT. So for now, it's just fun facts, so that I can build a chart and see where guys are going, because I love statistics. So we're going to go down the line and just let me know alphabetically. So Recruit Arnold, you're first. Let me know what MOS you guys are looking for, and I'll then explain why I need that. Alright guys, that's going to wrap the stream up as we get class finished up here, so thanks for hanging out. Alright, yeah guys, thanks for hanging out. I appreciate a whole bunch of the support that was shown to the channel today. I really appreciate that. So thanks, and I will see you guys back here in a little bit for the next training that I've got going on.